Well, howdy everyone. My name is Matt Haslam, and I'm the host and executive producer of Powered by Rainbows. Welcome to a special behind-the-scenes look at how our show is made. Now, normally these behind-the-scenes episodes are only put out for our members of the channel, but today I wanted to show you a little bit about how our entire process works. Because here's the thing. One of the most exciting parts of the whole process is a part that you never see on the show. See, normally you get to watch our normal episodes in our TV studio, which is actually a couple floors down from where we're sitting right now. But in that TV studio, we have a teleprompter set up, and that way I can read off an entire script that's very well refined. Even during our interview episodes, everything's a very refined script for what I say. And in that script, it's put through, multiple writers of the show, and that way we can double and triple check everything. And all of that is really cool because we get to share the best of the best information with all of you. And we get to leave out parts that aren't near as important, and I get to teach you, and we get to teach you as much as possible in the shortest amount of time. So that's really good for you. But that's only about 10% at most of what we've learned on a topic that we're sharing in an episode. A lot is learned by making each and every episode, and sometimes what we've learned for this episode that got left on the cutting room floor, sometimes that piece of information comes back into another episode later in the season, or in another season even. Plenty of times that does happen, but when we're covering a specific topic, a lot gets left out. And you might ask how much gets left out, and that pretty much can be summarized at how many books are in this corner. But yeah, it's a lot. But this is where I come to relax. And I know for some people you might want to read nonfiction, you might want to read storylines of something to get your mind off of things and bring your stress level down. Well, I mean, for me, I like to read stories too. I pretty much only read stuff with gay characters, but really, I love to deep dive into research and into just learning about, well, what happened in history? Well, what's happening in our community? I love this kind of research. And so pretty much at the end of 2020, I realized that my stress level was getting insane. And not just for the show, but in just my normal work life. And so I decided, well, one of my friends reached out and they're like, meditate and have some time for yourself and relax. Find something that you enjoy doing that relaxes you. And what relaxes me is reading and researching. And so I set up this little corner in my bedroom just for this, where I can come, relax, I don't have to worry about anything. I have sunlight during the day, I have a lamp here that allows me to read at night, and I pretty much read for about an hour before bed every night, most nights at least. And it's really relaxing for me. So like right now, some of the books that I'm trying to get through right now at the moment are, A Queer History of the United States by Michael Bronski. Great book, by the way, highly recommended. We'll talk about this book in a number of episodes. Like, as you can tell, there's a lot of research done, and we're about halfway through this one. While I'm reading a book, by the way, you can tell there's a lot of post-it notes in this corner. Each color post-it note means something different. So like blue means that could be a topic for an entire episode. Orange is like, oh, that's a really interesting factoid. Or pink means something else. It just depends on the book that I'm reading or article I'm reading or whatever. I like to actually print out government reports and articles, and that way I can highlight them with, all my multicolor highlighters, because I like to actually physically go through the research and get hands-on with it. I love doing that more than just researching an article online or a report and just scrolling through it on my laptop or something like that. I much prefer to have a physical copy here and actually read through it in person, because I love that kind of feel, which is why I don't own a Kindle or anything, and I like actually having the books in person because I like highlighting them a lot. And I just like the feel of having a book in my hand and going, yeah, let's deep dive into this. And I think it's sad because in an episode, you get to see how excited I get over a topic. You get to see sometimes how mad I get at a certain factoid. For instance, in this season, one of the first episodes of the show, I think in the Gayborhood episode or something, you'll which, I mean, by the time this comes out, you don't even know about those episodes yet. But I'm getting, we're talking about something, and I'm like, this is how pretty much America thanked our service members when they come back from the war. And I get really upset in those moments, but it's so much different what you see on camera to the normal show in the studio compared to what happens here in the research process. The researchers and I always talk. We even have a Facebook group for all of us that we share all of the information about, what we've learned that day. Whenever we're writing a script for a show, we'll share the script between each other before it ever gets recorded. That writer's room private group on Facebook allows us to really communicate with each other because we're growing our team right now, and there's a growing number of us that need to communicate all the time. That's really good because we always get to talk now, but and we get to each be responsible for lesser and lesser amounts of episodes, which is really good, and it's less stress on me to do everything compared to what I used to do. But it's so different in the writer's room and in the researching process here than you get to see on camera. And that's kind of why I wanted to show everyone a little bit about behind the scenes here, because you have no idea how genuinely excited I get in this chair about something. I mean, I get to read the books and I'll be sitting here going, oh my God, I cannot wait to talk about this on the show. And I get so excited, and I sometimes I figure out, oh, that's a really exciting factoid, but how do I script an episode about that? How do I even allude to that thing that I've learned? It's so exciting to learn this. Right now, I'm trying to get through the book on Stonewall. It's a book all about the definitive story of the LGBTQ rights uprising that changed America by Martin Duberman. Sorry. Great book, by the way. I've read about an eighth of it already. Not much. But I'm trying to get through this book kind of fast because what's happening, and you don't really know it yet, is we're actually taking a trip to Stonewall in April or May of this year, and that way we can have a Stonewall episode on June 28th, the anniversary of Stonewall. And in order to go there in person, I feel like I need to, really dive into everything about the story, and that way I have stuff to talk about while I'm there, things to ask questions to the people that we're interviewing, all that kind of stuff. It's really important that I read that book before we go. But there are so many great books. I'm also trying to read this one right now, The Gay Revolution, Story of the Struggle by Lillian Faderman. Another great book. There's so much research that's in this corner. What else do we have here? Oh yeah, I just got done reading, where is it at? Okay, hold on. I just got done reading this report, Pennsylvania LGBTQ Health Needs Assessment. Great report by Pennsylvania Department of Health, by the way. If you ever want a good afternoon of just pure reading, great information in this. They had, what was it? Oh, summary. I should read my notes. They had 6,580 LGBTQ people that they interviewed, and just there's tons of information in this 50-page article, this 50-page government report. this is what genuinely excites me of, like starting to read something like this, and you're just like, oh my God, I cannot wait to talk about that on the show. I cannot wait to share this with other researchers that I work with. I cannot wait to use this information to better help the community and to hopefully get better education for our community, mandatory in all schools in the country and the world. I cannot wait to do that. And it's like, you have no idea how excited I get over this kind of stuff just sitting here, because sadly you don't ever get to see this part of the process. And so I'm hoping maybe to show you a little bit of that this season, just because there are so many things where by the time it gets to the script of a show, it's so refined, or I've read it so many times where on the show you'll see me have less like blank face reading it off, and you don't realize, like, in order to make it into a script, something really has to strike me, or the writers of the show. Something really has to jump out at us as like, yeah, that's exciting. That's really, really awesome to know now. So before it makes in a script, it really did excite all of us writers on the show. But by the time I actually say it, sometimes I'm very happy saying it. Sometimes I get upset saying it because it's very upsetting news. But most of the time I have this like blank face, and you're just like, wow, Matt does not seem into this at this moment, and partly that's because we try to record, I think the other day we recorded like 8 episodes in one day. So sometimes by the end of that series, you're just like, oh my God, it's been like 10 hours of recording. I need a break, and I don't necessarily always have them. But that's the thing. All of the information in these scripts all starts in this chair, or in very similar spots in all of our writers' homes. And it's so exciting for us to learn this. Like, I'm going through a report and I'm just like, holy crap. And it's so cool because I have such a huge smile on the entire time researching. And then, and I always think to myself, none of our students can ever see that enthusiasm, see that drive to find more. Like when I'm reading through, especially on the books and stuff, when you're reading through those, you'll be like, oh my God, like that just happened at the end of a chapter. And you're like, all right, well now I have to read a whole nother chapter because I need to know what happened, And it's not like, it's not built as a story of, typically what writers do in nonfiction especially is, when you're reading something, at the end of a chapter, they leave like cliffhangers of, oh, what's about to happen to this character? And then in the next chapter, it picks up on that, It's sort of like a TV show where, especially in drama, the end right before the commercial is like, oh, what happened? And then all of a sudden you'll come back from a commercial and it's like, all right, this is what happened, It's to bring you back into the story, right? And that way you don't turn off the channel, over the commercials, It's sort of like that. But in these books of like history books and educational books, it's not supposed to be like that. They're not built as cliffhangers at the end of every chapter. It's just, I want to learn more about this. Like, wow, I cannot believe that happened. Like, for instance, a great something. I just had it in here the other day. Oh yeah, I'm reading through and I'm sitting here going, okay, this is A Queer History of America, by the way. So I give full credit to the people that wrote it. But it says, but his ideas had other champions, such as free love advocate Victoria Woodhull, who in 1872 was the first woman to run for president of the United States. And that kind of thing. As you keep reading in the next pages, it's all about this woman who supported gay rights, and she was the first woman to ever run for president of the United States back in 1871. And, when I know she's a very controversial person, but when Hillary Clinton was running for president, all those years ago, I remember the news just circulating it over and over and over again that, oh, Hillary Clinton's the first person to run for woman to run for president. And it's like, no, she wasn't. What about Victoria Woodhull? What about her? Oh, wait, history wrote over her history because she was a supporter of the LGBTQ community. Like, there are so many things that, like, in this book alone, that you learn George Washington was bisexual. You learn all these, like, major players are, like, so LGBTQ friendly, but yet that part of history was written over just because they were gay, just because it was an LGBTQ part of history that isn't told. What boggles my mind sometimes, not just research for the show, but in general, it boggles my mind how certain parts of information are left out just because it represents our community. And that's why I'm so, like, there are times when I sit here and I won't even get done reading a chapter or something of whatever book I'm reading at the moment, or of an article, and I'm just like, I'll sit here in silence and start realizing to myself, that's the part of history, that's the part of the story that we're filling in on the show that no one wants to tell, you know? Powered by Rainbows is the blank space between those other parts. Like, we're filling in the parts of history, we're filling in the pieces of information left out. Like, our team is hard at work right now working on an episode about how Jesus very well might have been bisexual. We're working on these parts of stories that are purposefully left out just because it helps the LGBTQ narrative that we are normal in every way, you know? Like, there are a lot of people that think, well, LGBTQ are different because we're showed all of our life, we're shown how different we are. You know, in history class, we don't learn anyone in history was gay. We don't ever learn that back in Roman times, everyone was gay, you know? And we don't learn how accepted it was at certain points in history. And then we go on to, science class. We don't learn how, brain scans prove that transgender people and non-binary people and gender fluid people are all valid genders, you know? Like, we don't learn that. Why don't we learn that? And when we go into literature class, we're not reading, great authors that were gay. We're reading straight authors, or we're reading authors that, are gay authors, but they wrote straight storylines. In the research process, sometimes I need those moments to just feel something, because it's a shame I never learned that in school. It's a shame that, I went through elementary, middle school, and high school to 2010 graduating high school, and I went through college in 2012, and graduating there with no information about LGBTQ at all. None. It was only what I asked the teachers about that I finally got that information, And it's such a shame that these parts of the world are left out, because that way it makes us feel different. And when LGBTQ people start to feel different, then we feel like we shouldn't speak up, we shouldn't come out. And that way it suits this whole narrative of, well, if we're different, then definitely it suits the narrative that we are sinful, or that we are wrong, and it's okay to discriminate against us because we're different after all. No, we're the same. It's normal to be gay. It's normal to be bi. It's normal to be trans. It's normal to be non-binary. And if our schools taught that, they know we would feel normal, and they know the discrimination would have to end. And so mostly there are moments in this research process that I'll put down a book and I'll be like, all right, well, this is where I left off for the moment, and I just have to put it down. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm 28 years old learning that now. When that should be a part of history I learned in second grade, or things like that. I mean, when you learn about George Washington in elementary school, in the United States at least, you learn, oh yeah, he was the first ever president, and he was this great guy. And then later on you realize, like, yeah, he owned slaves, so he wasn't that great of a guy, But now you learn, oh, he was also bisexual. And you're like, why was that left out? Oh, it suits their hateful narrative that we're not normal. And that's why it's left out, So there are definitely moments in the research process where I put down a book and I'm just like, I need a moment to absorb what I just read, So it's a very fun process, and sadly, on the show, you don't necessarily always get to see how excited I get over something. And I do feel like that is somewhat a shame, because I want to show you the excitement, but other times I'm very happy that, mostly I'm very happy that our show is so well refined now and reviewed by so many people that we don't get things wrong. Knock on wood. Like, we really have enough writers on the show or researchers that I can run it past them, and I'm like, hey, let's all talk about the script beforehand, And our private Facebook group on Facebook allows us to all talk amongst ourselves and share research we learned. So at the end of the day of research or something, I'll share with the team, like, hey, look what I just learned, or if I come across an article that's really good, I'll share it with all them, and we all share that information now. And now we can all work towards writing better scripts, and we can work towards push and being better activists because of it. Not just on a show teaching about these things, but also just in pure activism, going, we need to we need to implement this information. Like this needs assessment, this allows us to push for legislation. This allows us to do a lot, because we learn so much with it of what the community actually needs. So there are things like this where we're just like, where was research like this 20 years ago? Honestly. So yeah, there are a couple rewarding parts of this job where, I mean, seeing your comments every day is beautiful to me. Like this morning I woke up and I saw a tweet from a fan of just like recommending the show, and they're saying how much they've learned from watching our episodes, and that warms my heart so much. And I don't think any of you realize how much those kind of comments mean. It genuinely means the world, because I'll wake up to that and I'll be like, I cannot wait to start working on the show today, or if it's a day I'm working for a client of my company, I'm just like, I can't wait to get home so I can work on the show too, I don't care about working like 4 or 5 hours at night after I just got done an 8-hour day for a client project. Like, I don't care about coming home and working more on this, because it's so obvious how appreciative the whole community is, but it's also so obvious of how much good we're doing by doing this work. And that's why I'm sharing with the writers. Every time you guys leave a comment like that, I'll screenshot it and send it to the writers' room for all the writers and producers to see, because it's just like, that's our reward, and that is what keeps us going, and it's what our writers signed up to work on, you know? Like, it isn't for the money, it isn't for anything. It's to help the community. And I think the research is one of the main reasons why the show has gone in the direction it has over the years. I mean, when I started the show, I knew I wanted to help just one kid out there come out of the closet, and that was, you know, rewarding enough. And now I get to say that our show helps thousands of kids come out of the closet, and that is just unbelievable. You know, that's like beyond any kind of like wildest dreams of how rewarding something can be. But like in the beginning, I didn't know we would be making educational videos on a weekly basis. I thought, you know, to be fair, there are a lot of YouTubers out there who make funny videos, who make prank videos, who make gaming videos, and I give mad respect for what they do. And there are a lot of LGBTQ creators who do vlogs or share different things, and those are the YouTubers that helped me along my years of coming out. You know, those are the YouTubers that really inspired me a lot, like Troye Sivan, Connor Franta, you know, Tyler Oakley. Like, there are plenty of YouTubers who have done great content that help the community and help normalize the community, really. But and in many ways, I think YouTube offers us a platform to have the representation we don't have, or at least we didn't have back in my childhood, of seeing a gay person on TV. Well, now I can see that on YouTube, and that's just like TV now, you know? And so I give mad respect to these people for doing that, but I didn't want to become just another one of them on YouTube. I wanted our show to be a TV show and to make it a lot farther than that. But I think the research process here in this space and how excited I get over learning new things, I think that really drove the reason why we're doing educational shows on a weekly basis instead of doing an educational episode every so often and fun videos fitting in the breaks between them. I think the reason why we're doing so much educational content is because of what happens right here and how excited I get to, you know, like the day this report came out, I read through the whole thing and I'm like, I cannot wait for this, because I heard about this report breaking about a week before it came out, and I'm just like, I literally emailed the main organization behind this, and I'm like, okay, I want like first dibs on a copy. I want it. You know, like, I know it's done. I know you have a copy of this somewhere. I want it as soon as you can possibly get it to me. You know, I could not wait for it. I was just so excited over it. And that drive of how excited I get, that excitement is why I think we're able to do so many educational shows. And I think that's why you see us going in this direction over the 4 seasons of our show now. You know, like in the very beginning, in season 1, you can kind of tell that I didn't really know it was going to be on a weekly basis. And then in season 2, I started it off where I'm like, yeah, let's do a couple fun videos and then we'll, you know, see how it goes. And then season 3, I'm like, educational platform. That's what we need to be. Because, I mean, once you start learning all this stuff and you're like, wow, I cannot believe our schools left all of that out. You're like, you start realizing, well, I can teach it, you know, and I can talk about all this stuff online, and I can send our show every week to dozens upon dozens of schools across the world, you know, and I can have this information for those classrooms, you know, and that's what drives us to be an educational platform. And I feel like, you know, starting this season this year, I mean, I know this is a little behind the scenes. It's not a normal episode for us. I know when I do a little short video from here, it won't be as refined as the TV studio kind of look and feel of that scripted episode. it's not always going to be this very condensed version of whatever topic we're talking about. But I feel like maybe in the future, I can bring you up to this research corner a little more often. And it won't be every week, but I feel like maybe every so often bringing you into this space is helpful for you, but also for me, because this is where I get so excited over the information that I'm sharing, and to leave this part out of the story and leave this whole part of the process away from what you see and hear, I don't feel that's right or fair either. And so definitely I want to sort of bring you in on the whole process, because this is the most exciting part of that process. The most rewarding part is when an episode comes out and I see all of your comments later on, and I see how loving all of you are. That's definitely the most rewarding part, but the most exciting part is here at the beginning, So I hope you enjoyed this little tiny behind the scenes snippet of how the process all works, and a little bit about the research process. At least you can see, where the research gets done now, and how comfy this chair is. It really is comfy. I have fallen asleep here more than once. It's so comfy. But allowing an hour or something before bed every night to just read a little bit about what interests me, that really helps so much bring my stress level down. And now you get to see a little part of that. So I hope you enjoyed this all, and I hope you enjoy season 4 of the show. I know there is an episode coming out in, I believe, March, on how the tobacco companies targeted LGBTQ people over the years and the smoking rates of LGBTQ people. And that whole episode started in this report right here. So like, it's mid-January, and right now when I'm recording this, and you won't see that episode for another couple months yet. Right now I'm doing research on Stonewall, and that won't even be recorded until April or May, and then you won't see that episode until the end of June. So what happens here in the research process is months upon months sometimes before you ever get to see it out there. So I mean, it's highly rewarding to research all this stuff, and it's so exciting. But it's like, when you're reading this, I'm like, I got it the day it came out, and then I'm like, but the audience won't know anything of what I've learned in this until months later. So it's kind of like, I want you guys to know then it's like, yeah, it takes a little bit to write those scripts. It takes a while to gather all this information, So so just know, like, if you suggest a topic down in the comments or something like that, and you don't see it the very next week or something like that, some YouTubers can do that. Some YouTubers you can suggest something and they'll make the video tomorrow on it, For us, because we research so heavily into a topic to make sure that we're accurate in a script, then we script an episode. It has to go through production. It has to go through editing, which takes most times about a day and a half for each episode to be edited to what you see. Like, it takes a lot of time. So sometimes by the time you see it, it's months from now, but it's gonna be good. Like last season, we had the suggestion of doing an episode on depression, and it took us a month to make that. But most of the time, it takes longer than that. Now that you guys can see a little bit about this process, I'm so excited for season 4, and I cannot wait to share with you all of what we've learned here, and months and months of research beforehand. So I'm so excited for it. I hope you guys enjoy what we have in store for this season. It's going to be amazing. We have a lot of episodes planned and even more planning going on. So we have a lot to share, and I hope you guys enjoy. And I mostly hope you enjoy the rest of your day today, because it's a beautiful day out today. I don't know what it's like near you, but I hope it's a beautiful day no matter what, full of sunshine and rainbows. Most importantly, rainbows. Anyway, that's a little behind the scenes look at the show. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like this video, comment down below your LGBTQ friendly thoughts, hit that rainbow subscribe button so you don't miss out on new episodes of the show, because we have a lot planned for this season and you get to learn all of what we're learning in all of our research in comfy little chairs in the corner of our bedrooms and similar spots in our homes across America for all of our writers nowadays. And so I hope you enjoy, and you can watch all of them if you hit the subscribe button down below. You can even turn it rainbow if you want. We have an episode on that. And you can share this video with others, all of your family and friends, so they can learn from all of this research as well. So I hope you enjoyed. As always, I'm your host, Matt Haslam. This has been PBR. Have a gay day, everyone, and bye for now. See you on the show. Still not enough rainbows? Click here to see more weekly episodes of Powered by Rainbows, Semester 4, only on MHP TV.